Okay, let's go.
You earn a decent living. You get your paycheck, pay your bills, and yet by the 28th of the month, the account is nearly empty. This friction points to a failure of resource allocation systems, a far more complex hurdle than simple arithmetic. This chart shows a standard monthly paycheck. Before you make a choice, the money is already spoken for. Rent, utilities, debt, and subscriptions chip away at the total, block by block. What's left is this tiny sliver, the unknown remainder, exactly what causes mid-month anxiety. The standard advice from financial gurus to fix this is always the same. Sit down with a notebook or a spreadsheet and manually track every single penny that goes in and out. Practically no one actually does this long-term. The cognitive friction is simply too high. Staring directly at the numbers wasted on takeout is psychologically painful, which leads most people toward total avoidance. To fix this, we need to stop relying on willpower and start evaluating our financial habits strictly through a lens of return on investment, effort versus impact. High-level money management preserves limited willpower for high-stakes decisions by ruthlessly automating the mundane details of daily spending. You must know exactly where your cash is flowing to build wealth. That is the unavoidable baseline. We measure tracking effectiveness with this quadrant chart. The horizontal axis is cognitive effort. The vertical is financial payoff. Manual journaling sits here. Maximum effort, low payoff due to high abandonment. Conversely, automated finance apps sit in the optimal zone. Low effort, high impact. There is a trade-off. You have to make a front-loaded time investment. You must sit down, link your bank accounts, and face the initial uncomfortable reality of your actual spending data. Once you endure that initial setup, the payoff is permanent. The app automatically categorizes every dollar coming in and going out, removing the daily cognitive load. Instead of doing math at the register, you get a real-time automated notification on your phone the moment you get close to blowing your dining out budget. Because it requires zero daily maintenance, automated tracking outsmarts human avoidance behavior and decision fatigue. Once your budget is automated, it immediately exposes the hidden drains eating away at account, forgotten subscriptions, and recurring in-app charges. Let's plot a subscription audit on our matrix. Canceling these recurring fees places this task squarely in the low-effort, extremely high-impact zone. Spending just 1 hour canceling software or gym memberships you don't use creates a compounding return of reclaimed cash flow every single month. Plugging small leaks won't save you if you blow the reclaimed cash on large impulsive purchases, like an expensive holiday or a new laptop, that destroy months of careful budgeting instantly. To stop this, you need to set up behavioral guardrails. First, enforce a mandatory waiting period for any major purchase, and second, run the item through an automated price comparison tool. The waiting rule works because it intentionally introduces friction, enforces a gap between the impulse and the action, suppressing the immediate dopamine head of consumption. Next, using websites like Google Shopping or Camel strips the emotion entirely out of the transaction. They show you historical data, proving whether that sale is actually a mathematically sound time to buy. Eliminating invisible recurring leaks and blocking sudden impulsive purchases are the two mandatory steps required to free up your capital for defensive wealth protection. Compounding high-interest consumer debt serves as the ultimate mathematical barrier to upward mobility. Like a boulder rolling down a snowy hill, a lingering credit card balance rapidly accumulates mass and accelerates over time. Stopping it requires an aggressive debt triage protocol. You must halt all new credit card spending immediately, pay the bare minimums across all accounts, and route every single dollar of surplus cash exclusively to the balance with the highest interest rate. On our matrix, debt triage sits exactly here. It demands maximum effort and discipline, but it delivers the maximum possible financial impact. Notice that the emergency fund has to be plotted immediately adjacent to it. These two strategies are permanently linked. You have to build a small cash buffer concurrently with your debt payoff. Without it, the moment your car breaks down, you'll be forced to put the repair right back on the high-interest credit card, restarting the entire cycle. Until consumer debt is neutralized and a defensive cash buffer is established, attempting to invest your money in long-term assets is mathematically counterproductive. We sequence these individual tactics into a cohesive action plan based on your current financial health. We map this out using a tiered progression system, the financial order of operations. This flowchart dictates exactly which rules apply to which stage of wealth building. We start at Tier 1, the overwhelmed beginner. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, your mandate is simple. Ignore complex spreadsheets. Rely on a low-friction finance app to automate tracking and ruthlessly audit your subscriptions. Once you have a surplus, you move to Tier 2, the aspirational optimizer. At this stage, your focus shifts to behavioral guardrails. Enforce the delay rule on large purchases and visually separate your savings into a different bank account to prevent accidental lifestyle creep. Finally, you reach Tier 3, the wealth builder. With your high-interest debt cleared and your defensive buffer set, your final mandate kicks in. You must deploy your idle cash into investments, like stocks, bonds, or real estate, to prevent inflation from eroding its value. Sustainable financial discipline comes from designing an automated system that is harder to cheat than it is to follow.